is, can we see a demo by someone who has a disability? And I'd be happy to do that for you. And then I'm happy to do that as a paraplegic. I'm going to show you a couple of the tricks that I've learned, and I'll kind of explain them as we go through them. So like I was saying, I'll kind of touch on this. If you have a person with an illness that requires them to stand, or you want them to stand, then this would be great. Can you see me from this position, Robbie?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll take you through the startup and I'll put you through we're going to go in backwards order. I apologize, but I'll get out of my unit, I'll get into my chair, and I'll get in my chair, out of the unit, and then stand back up. And then as you guys have questions, you can ask. So again, everything at this point is just like I had the remote set. So I usually take the remote off, I'll put it on, otherwise I'll probably drop it. And then what I do is I'll actually, because again, this is not the electric one, it's the hydraulic one, or the manual pull up. So this lever controls the handlebars, this one controls the spring or the shock. So I'll usually drop as hard as I can onto the couch or the chair. And don't mind the shaking, that's normal for me. So can you see me now, Robbie?
Yes, yep.
Okay, perfect. So from here, I'll actually, because I have no trunk, is I just lay back and I loosen up those straps we talked about, which you showed at the very beginning. So there's a strap here, which I think you may have touched on this too, but you can unscrew the caps. And so if you were to get stuck in the unit, you can unscrew the caps and the bars that hold on the back pad, and you can let yourself out. So you're not stuck in it forever.
Yep. Great point.
So I just set those free. Again, I'm on a remote, so I can take the remote and I'll actually drive it away from me. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah.
And then bear with me. Somebody asked earlier if how I put my feet in it. So unfortunately, my positioning is not the easiest. So I actually have to pull them out and then drop them in. I am 100% complete. So I have zero movement. You'll see my feet shaking, but that's just spasms. So I have zero control and or movement of my lower extremities. So that kind of puts the perspective. So I'll drive the unit away, and then I make sure that I don't fall. So then what I'll do actually is I'll take the unit, and because it's got, I call it a whale tail, is I will drive the whale tail into my poster wheel. And the reason I do that is because that way my wheelchair doesn't spit out from underneath me. And that way, if I need to, I can grab the unit either here or here in case I start to fall, which can happen quite often. As far as training on getting in and out, I think that was another question. So I was never specifically trained. I just kind of figured out stuff that fit best for me. And I've used different chairs. I've used different benches. The reason I use a bench is because the style of my wheelchair is not easy with the tail system, but it depends on the wheelchair style. So it's all patient specific. So now what I'll do is I'll throw myself as best I can up into my pad, and the Tek RMD will hold my wheelchair steady so that I don't lose, it won't spit out from underneath it. So now I'm back into my normal chair, as you guys can see. Does that work for you, Robbie?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now what I'll do is so you guys can see the other side is let me transfer back into the pad on the pad, and then I will bring it in and you guys can see the set for me on getting back into it. Any questions at all from anybody? I can't see my screen, so you have to bear with me.
No, you're good.
Okay. So I put the pad on the bench, and the reason I use the bench is because it's clear underneath and it's tall underneath, so I can get the Tek RMD all the way up underneath me. So I know you can't see it, I apologize, but somebody had asked how I get my feet in. If I put them in, or I don't remember the exact question, so I apologize. But what I will do is I will actually throw my feet into the unit. And I line it up so that I can get relatively close. And then I'll take my feet and I literally swing them around and I flop them in the stirrups, the shoe stirrups. And then I back it up. And then I'll go a little bit at a time. And then I'll get my knees into the I would say the shin or the knee stirrups. And I'm using the remote. And then usually once I get the remote close enough, I'll just hang the remote again. Otherwise, I'll drop it. And then I will. Now I have done this with that bench as well on the outdoor version. And then I usually push the Tek RMD all the way up into the bench because the bench is at the bottom of the bed, so that it's got something to bite up against. Again, I'll put the sleeves through the cushion or the what you call it, but the bar arm, whatever, through the cushion. And then the strap, I'll tighten the straps with the remote. Excuse me, not with the remote, but with the controller at the base. And there goes the remote. So good thing I didn't need it. Remy, stretch, stretch, stretch. Well, don't just stretch. Stretch. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure that I have what I need. I don't want to run over it. Fetch. Here. Thank you.
Now the Tek does not come with a dog that will grab the remote for you, but that's a great feature.
Do you like that? So it's not the easiest to get up, but it beats sitting still and sitting down. So that's my routine from that perspective. I don't know if that's helpful or painful or what it may be.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you very much. Any last questions for Bill or for us? I know there's been a few texts that have been kind of coming through.
What was that last one on the footwells?
Let's see.
Very good question. Let me go ahead and hop out of it now, but let me take my phone with me, and let me show you a couple of things as I get out of it, so that it can answer some of those questions as far as when I talk about the foot stirrups and the knees. So I'm just going to take, bear with me real quick. I'm going to take you with me as I go down and stow it. And then that way you can see that. And then if you have anything else, you can. So again, I'm doing the exact same thing I did before, because I just drop all the way down. Sorry. So I'll let you stare at me while I. So I'm loosening the straps so that I can free them from the back pad. And then I'm going to move you forward with the remote. And then, okay. So you asked about the foot straps, right? Somebody asked about the foot straps. Bear with me while I manage my glasses. So I'm going to flip it around so you can see what I'm looking at specifically. So
These are the knee pads that my knees or my shins will come into and hold me. It's basically the knees will physically are guided into those like stirrups, for lack of better words. Then my feet are just the foot itself is adjustable. And you can see the adjustments on that. And it can go anywhere from probably, I'm going to guess you would know better, but size maybe 7 or 8 to a 15, 20.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
And
not small.
One of the things we collect when you order it is your foot size with the shoes you typically wear on. So that'll be already adjusted kind of for your feet.
And again, I'm going to do the same thing as I did before because I don't want to fall. So I'll move it away from me, bring my chair in. And again, this is just my routine. By no means is the way they recommend or it's supposed to be. It's just what works well for me. And I actually stick my phone in the pad between my chest and the chest remote. That seems to be best where my pad is right, or where my phone is right now. And then the pad is just that, the pad.
And one question for you, Bill, how often would you say you charge the device?
If I'm in a full charge, I would say it's probably, it depends. Actually, that's a good question. It totally depends on how much you move in it. So if I'm a frequent mover in it, which I'm not, I'm usually more like a go to this spot and hang out, go to this spot and hang out. I would say the battery should be able to last at least, if I'm in it for an hour a day, I would say it should last at least a week. That's totally a guess because it's all dependent on how much that person uses it as a mover or uses it as a stander. I use it for both. I would imagine the more I use it outside, if I had the outdoor kit on it, that battery life is going to be diminished substantially just because the motor has to work so much harder in order to power through the grass. And I wish I had the outdoor version here to show everybody because the outdoor version is so cool just because, I mean, I've taken it to parks, I've taken it hunting, I've taken it running over brush and twigs and branches. It's just such a cool thing to be able to, I mean, you could almost go on a real smooth hike with it without even thinking about it. And I'm just using the remote right now and hitting the wall. So that's kind of my demo from my perspective. I don't know if that helps anybody, but like I said, I would say the battery should be at least a week. I've had the battery because I don't drive around a ton with it. I've had the battery last a month because I use it both as a stander as well as a mover. It's just totally dependent on what each person uses it for.
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much. I saw one question come through about taking it on an airplane. They are sealed lead acid. So basically it means non-lithium ion. So from that standpoint, they're typically safe. I've talked with a couple of people in the airline industry. The big thing is you'll want to, if you know where you're going, you want to call and discuss with the airline first, because really it depends on the plane as far as the opening they have to be able to fit stuff in there. If you got out of it into seated position, it's going to be folded down. So these are fully upright. They're too tall, but it'll be folded down. Now I know there's a couple like smaller planes that it may not fit very well in. So the recommendation I would have is call them and say, look, fold it in half. It's about 38 inches or whatever. Is that plane able to fit this device before you, or at the time that you're booking or whatever the flight? So that's kind of the best answer we have for that. Kind of depends on the plane. But thank you very much, Bill. Is there any other questions that anybody has for Bill before we kind of wrap everything up?
And I'll mention that if anybody has questions throughout, their exploration of the item, or if they want to see how it works again, they can reach out to me via email or via phone, which you can get that through Robert. And I'm happy to provide any details that I possibly can.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, and feel free to reach out to us. The easiest one to remember is just info@matiarobotics.com if you have questions or anything, and we'll get you those answers. Or if you're interested in buying, need the closest distributor, any of that type of stuff, definitely let us know. Otherwise, thanks everybody. Really appreciate everybody's time, and especially Bill's. Thanks for giving us that demo. And if you have anything, definitely let us know.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, everybody.